Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I am giving you my book review of Winter by Marissa Meyer. First, let me apologize for my hair. I just got out of the shower and I'm trying to film this video because this is the last day I have off before I work again, so I only have so much time and I want to get this video out on Friday. So this is what Winter looks like. Personally, it is my favorite cover out of all four, and if I had to rank the covers, it would probably go Winter, Cinder, Cress, and then Scarlet as my favorite book cover. Now, where do I even start with this book? This was an excellent book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads review. And it was just so good. It was everything that I wanted in a finale. Of course, there were a few problems that I had with it, but I'll get to those points in a second. In this book, Winter is our newest main character and newest addition to following the revolution that Cinder is planning. They are all headed toward Luna to start this amazing revolution. To say my disappointments, I would say I wasn't disappointed that no one died, but I was a little surprised that no one did, because I felt like with something this dramatic and this built up, that someone in the main group of people should have died, because it just made it more realistic. And I wouldn't have minded if Wolf had died or if Jason had died. Throughout the whole entire book, by the way, I was calling Jason Jackin because of how it was spelt, Jacin, but it's pronounced Jason. And sorry for my gum. I am just chewing away. I do really love how everything was put together. I love Winter's insanity and how you really got in her head. I think one of my favorite points was when she was having one of her fits, one of her episodes, and she actually like saw blood on her hands, and I was like, well, I could just picture that so well. And it was beautifully written. My favorite lines in the book has got to be Aiko's one-liners. My favorite parts in the book have to be Aiko's one-liners. Aiko kicked ass in this book. I absolutely loved her. And she was so Aiko. She spiced things up, and she is by far my favorite character of all time. It goes Aiko, Cinder, Cress and Kai are probably tied, to be perfectly honest, but she is by far my favorite character. And I just love it when she is in the house, in Maya's house with Princess Winter and Scarlet, and she jumps out at the guard that has come for Winter, and he shoots her, and she just goes, hey, I just got that fixed, because the bullet hole goes right through her, and being a robot, it doesn't kill her because she doesn't have a beating heart. And she's just like, I just got that fixed. And I'm just like, Aiko. And she also says something like, she's hiding on the floor, and when the guard sees her and is like, what? And she's like, it's not polite to stare, you know. My favorite line has got to be when she and Cinder are running in the palace looking for Levina, and they find these two guards, one of them being Kinney, who is on their side, but like Cinder mind controls them so they can't shoot her. And the Kinney says, you know, I'm on your side, you don't have to mind control me. So Cinder lets him go, but the other guard that she's still controlling, he has enough like mind, and he spits on the floor. And Aiko, I thought it was gonna be something from Cinder, like she rolls her eyes or she smirked, but no, the next line was Aiko gasped, you heathen. And I couldn't handle that. I started laughing so hard. I also really loved all the relationships in this book, and I'm glad that we got to see more of Jason, because truly and honestly, I didn't give a shit about him, because he was so annoying in Cress, especially because he betrayed them in Cress because he was trying to get back to Winter. And I really just didn't give two shits about him. So I was really glad that in this book we got to see more of him and why he acts that way and his relationship with Winter. One that really, really annoyed me, I've always have not cared about this one, but Wolf and Scarlet. The part that drove me crazy, and the other, like, very few complaints I have about this book, is that towards the end of the book, Wolf gets recaptured and revamped into an even worse soldier wolf version, mutant soldier of the Lunar Army. And we're in a chapter we have a chapter of his perspective for about 10 pages, and it shows how much more his thoughts have changed. Ugh, my hair. How much more his thoughts have changed, and how much more animalistic he is. And then all of a sudden, when we're in the final battle and Scarlet finds him, it's no problem at all. Like, it doesn't even come up. We're not in his head, but we also can see that it's not really brought up as a problem that he is now an even worse wolf mutant. Like, it doesn't come up, and it's like Scarlet completely mutes all those things, which just shouldn't be possible, especially because he was thinking about her, like he was imagining killing her when they were doing the surgery, and he was like enjoying it, and it just never comes up. And at the end of the book, when they're in her room talking about their future together, she doesn't once bring up his like new look. She's like, yeah, we'll go back to the farm and we'll run it together, and the neighbors will have to get used to you, but they'll be fine. I mean, I'm like, you're not even gonna mention, like, do you want to stay on Luna, or like, let's make sure you're in control of yourself before we go back to Earth. Like, it was completely glossed over, and I felt like it should have been a little bit more touched on to be, again, a little bit more realistic. Finally, in the ending scene, when all that stuff went down, when Thorn stabs Cress in the stomach, I was like, that's it. That's it. She just got stabbed in the stomach. She's gonna die. I legitimately thought that if there was going to be a death in our main group of protagonists, that she was going to be the one, because she was stabbed in the stomach. It even said that the knife had gone all the way to the hilt, like had gone all the way into her to the hilt. And I was just like, oh. Also, with the final battle, one of my favorite parts is when Thorn is about to shoot Cinder because he's under the mind control of Levina, and then Cress shoots his hand to knock the gun away, and therefore cuts off some of his fingers in the process, and she's like, I'm sorry, and he's like, nice shot, because he knew what he was about to do. Cinder and Levina were behind the throne, and they've both got guns pointed at their temples. Like, Levina is controlling Cinder, and Cinder is controlling Levina, and Cinder's trying not to pull the trigger, but also trying to make sure that Levina pulls the trigger, and then Levina is like, I surrender. I'm like, no, she doesn't. Don't take that. Make her shoot herself, because there is no way that Levina would ever surrender. She's too vain for that. And even I, who have read Fairest, and know her backstory, knows that, she would never actually surrender. She's just trying to let Cinder let off her guard, and then Cinder gets stabbed in the heart, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm hoping that she did mention earlier that her heart is half prosthetic. I'm like, please let her have been stabbed in the prosthetic side of her heart so that she can live. And then Cinder kind of just falls back, and the gun that she's holding goes off, and then she sees a splatter of blood get splattered onto the throne, and I was just like, that's got to be Levina's blood, because Cinder's already bleeding out of her chest, so it would be going down. It wouldn't splatter anymore, and she's already bleeding. So I'm like, that has got to be Levena's blood, and that has got to be the end of Levena. I remember I was reading this, and I put down the book, and I just said to myself, if Levena doesn't die and like gets put in prison, I will riot. Like, I was like, she has got to die. And then I brought the book to work the next day, and I was reading the scene where Kai is talking to Cinder in the hospital, and Cinder just asks, Leven is dead? And Kai goes, Leven is dead. And I'm holding the book at work, and I'm just like, good. I'm like sitting back reading the book. I'm like, good. I was like, oh, I was so upset. I would have been so upset if Levena hadn't died. My favorite scene, though, in the entire book has to be that scene at the end where it's been a few days and coronation is about to start officially, so Cinder can become queen, and Aiko and Scarlet and like everybody comes in. Cinder is in her beautiful coronation gown, this beautiful like white thing, and Scarlet comes in with a lemon cake and is like, you should eat cake, like we're gonna have a little celebration. It's just this really heartwarming scene. Like, the fighting is over and everybody's happy and in their couples. Cinder is with Kai and Winter's with Jason, and they're all just standing around eating cake with their fingers, and Aiko just got Levena's entire wardrobe because Cinder knew how much she loved fashion, and I'm just like, it's like the perfect ending scene, and I absolutely loved it. And I read it a few times over when I finished the book, because yes, don't you ever like finish a book and then spend the next few days just reading random chapters out of it because you loved it so much? That was me, and I was just rereading that scene. I just loved it. It's supposed to be a book called Stars Above, I believe, that Levena that Marissa Meyer is writing, and it's kind of gonna be a bind up of like answers to your questions, and I believe there's supposed to be an epilogue in it. So what I'm really, really hoping is that the epilogue will be Cinder and Kai's wedding, possibly, because he told her, he's like, I have to go back to Earth. Would you ever maybe consider one day becoming an empress? Because she's only 16, so she's obviously not ready to get married right now. But he was making it clear that he still wanted to continue their relationship, and she was planning to make the monarchy a republic instead, like where there's elected officials and presidents instead, because she's like, there's going to be one day, there's going to be another ruler like Levena that just treats her subjects like crap and, is the queen for years and years and years. So I think, when this country is ready, I'm going to change it into a republic instead of a monarchy, so that nobody will be stuck with a horrible, horrible ruler, even though she wouldn't have been that horrible ruler. So I'm really, really hoping that the epilogue will be Cinder and Kai's wedding, lunar history, because they kept mentioning like ruins and scriptures, and maybe backstory on the Shell children, and maybe even more about Cress, because all we know about her is that Dr. Emigard, who died in Cress, is her father, and maybe, just like who's some people's future, some people's past, so on and so forth. Having a really good beginning to 2016. I almost said 2015 there. I am halfway through my official first book of the year, which is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and I'm probably going to finish it tomorrow because it's really a simple, fast read, and it's only 225 pages, and I'm already on page like 120, so I'm hoping to finish that tomorrow. If you read Winter, tell me what you thought about it, what you're disappointed of, what you really loved. It is one of my favorite books of all time, and one of my favorite series of all time, and I'm hoping in 1 or 2 years to pick the series up again and read them again.